The protests in Iran have entered their 17th day, but there are two types of demonstrations taking place there. You have the anti-government protests, which began on the 28th of December, and the pro-government ones. Now, these pro-government rallies have coincided with funerals for slain members of Iran's security forces. Hundreds have been seen taking to the streets to mourn the slain security personnel. These demonstrations are both for mourning and to show support for Iran's theocratic government. The biggest pro-government rally took place in the capital, Tehran. Thousands of people attended, including the country's president, Masoud Pezeshkian. And one of the most prominent faces at Monday's rally was Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Khalibaf. He addressed the crowd and told them that Iran was in the middle of what he called a four-front war.
Iran is fighting the enemy in economic war, in the cognitive and psychological war, in the military confrontation with America and the Zionist regime combined, and now a war against terrorists.
Iran's parliament speaker said that the country is fighting a four-front war. He said the fronts are economic, psychological, military, and terrorism. Let's tell you all about it one by one. The economic front is well known. Iran has been crippled by economic sanctions for years now. They were supposed to have eased after the Iran nuclear deal was signed in 2015. But back in 2018, during his first term, American President Donald Trump had pulled out of the deal. He then reimposed American sanctions on Iran. Despite this, Iran stayed in the deal till last year. But once the nuclear deal officially expired, it triggered a snapback of UN sanctions on Iran. This exacerbated the country's economic turmoil, and reports say it directly contributed to the current economic crisis. That crisis is what triggered the protests on the 28th of December last year. The second front Iran's parliamentary speaker mentioned was psychological. Now, this could refer to a range of things, including the constant threats of intervention by America, to the calls for protest by Reza Pahlavi, who's the son of Iran's ousted Shah. It could also refer to Donald Trump's claims of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, planning to flee the country. The third front, the military front, is of course possible. US military action. America, remember, bombed Iran in June last year, targeting its nuclear facilities. This time, Iran has vowed to retaliate by striking American bases, ships, and personnel based in West Asia. And finally, the fourth front is supposed to be what he called terrorism. Iran insists that the ongoing protests have been infiltrated by foreign-backed terrorists. The government is accusing these alleged terrorists of targeting both Iranian security personnel and the protesters. Tehran is laying the blame for the high death toll on these terrorist elements and saying that they are backed by United States and Israel.
We recognize the right of anyone in Iran to protest. As in the early days, the government entered into dialogue. But riots, arson attacks on public and private property, and above all terrorism, shooting at civilians, firing on armed forces and police, are things no country would tolerate. I hope that some countries that have taken very misguided positions will pay attention to the realities on the ground. We have a large amount of documents and evidence indicating the involvement of both the United States and Israel in this terrorist act.
حرکت تروریستی هست.
Meanwhile, an unnamed Iranian official has been quoted by the news agency Reuters as saying that the toll has reached about 2,000 and that Iran has laid the blame of the toll squarely on America and Israel-backed terrorists. It has also admitted that ordinary people are facing problems and that the concerns of peaceful protesters are legitimate. Another government spokesperson has said that they will try to listen to legitimate concerns to the best of their ability. But will that be enough to placate these protesters? Or will the ongoing crackdown only enrage them further? That's the big question that we're asking. All right, let's try and understand what has been happening in Iran. I'm joined by Elham Abedini. She's an Iranian journalist and international relations expert. She's joining us live from Tehran at the moment. Elham, good evening. Thank you very much for sparing the time and talking with us on WION. I want to start by asking you how, this entire stance change from being conciliatory towards the protesters. The government has said that, look, there are concerns and we're willing to solve them, to now saying that some of these protesters can be terrorists backed by America and Israel.
Thank you for having me. Actually, there was some protest about 1 week before this terrorist attack happened. From the early January, we faced some kind of protest against economic situation in Iran. That I have to mention that some of that was because of the international sanctions that we faced. But after about 1 week, we see that those protests completely diverted to kind of riots and also terrorist attacks. Now there are many raw footage that I'm sure that you and many of your audiences watch them in the social media accounts, that some of these protesters have gone and shoot against civilians, and it is completely obvious that they are not police, they are not security personnel, and they are terrorists. And as Dr. Araghchi, the foreign minister of Iran, and also some other officials said, there are some evidences that show they are funded by foreign countries, in a specific Mossad and CIA. And I myself think that this is kind of the following of 12-day war. In 12-day war that Israel and the United States imposed on Iran, they could not actually win the war. They could not achieve their goals. And I think that they wanted to use this kind of protest to make a civil war, actually put Iran in civil war. And then their second plan was that the United States attack Iran based on some allegations against Iranian government. So I think for me, who live in Iran and see these protests closely, yes, it's completely obvious that it was not protest by the civilians.
Elham, do you also think then what many analysts are saying, that the fact that Donald Trump has now imposed 25% additional tariffs on countries that are trading with Iran, do you see that as somewhat softening of the stance of United States of America, which thought that it can strike Iran, but now these tariffs are sort of a compensation for the strikes not happening at the moment?
Absolutely. I think that the United States did not attack Iran and did not launch a war against Iran because they know that Israel now is not in a strong position and still did not reform after 12-day war. So they kind of softened their position by these tariffs. But I myself, as a person who live in Iran, I believe that these kind of international sanctions, these kind of tariffs, is not really less than military war or bombardment. It's kind of softened stance, but still it puts people in the crisis. And I see these kind of economic packages against Iran in a bigger puzzle of war against Iran by every tool that they have to use.
Okay. Elham, you said that this started as an economic concern, but now since it's turned into a political rebellion, it is perhaps being influenced by America and Israel. But do you not think that there are certain voices that have come out of these demonstrations who have also voiced how they want freedom, that they want not just their economic concerns being resolved, but also their political concerns being resolved? Case in point, there have been viral images that have come out where Iranian women have also burnt images of the supreme leader. Those images have gone viral. So do you think that economic concern was coupled with political concerns as well at the start?
At the start, I think it was completely economic issues this time because it was started from bazaar and markets. But after that, I see that around 4 or 5 p.m., everybody tried to get in home because they knew that there are some armed terrorists in the streets. So I mean, if there was civilian protest, they would come into a street. But I myself, when I back from my work to home, I see that how much it was traffic jam to get in home before the night come, and it shows that every civilian worried about that. But at the first, I think it was mostly about economic issues because it was started from bazaar and all. Actually, chant was about economic issues and inflation that we faced, and there are some domestic issues, but it was about some reforms that the Iranian government tried to do that about economic issues.
Okay. All right. I'll leave it there. Elam, thank you very much for speaking with us on WION and giving us a ground perspective of what has been happening in Tehran. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.